Welcome back to another episode on the podcast. I'm recording this today on the full moon in Leo, which I've been super excited about. I'm a Leo moon and Leo rising. So this full moon has just felt really, it's just really like, I don't know, it's got me feeling really good because Leo rules the fifth house, creativity, fun, play, dating, children, all the things. And the sun rules Leo. So it is just so much about like shining. And it feels really, really called to be in that heart led space, right? Coming back to that space this past week, oh my gosh. So last week we basically had like an entire week off because we got an ice storm here and like everything shuts down. And so it's just been like really out of our routine, especially at home with the kids and school and me like not being able to get to the gym because the gym's been closed and then just like not doing anything here. So I feel like I've gotten into this sort of like, I don't want to say slump, but just feeling good about getting back into a routine. I'll say that. Um, so yeah, it's been like slightly frustrating, but like also coming back to myself, coming back to that heart led space. And I did a full moon circle today and it just felt amazing. Like I felt so tapped in, so lit up, so turned on. And I'm doing an intuitive and psychic development, like immersion small group container with Lauren Aletta. Actually, she's been on the podcast twice. I'll link her episodes below. She's like magic. It's amazing. And what I love so much about her is that she's just so much about like she doesn't want to teach you her process. She wants you to find your process, right? So everything is always like turning it back to you. But for me specifically, have been doing this practice of connecting with the planets, psychically, energetically tapping into the planets and allowing the planets to speak to me versus what I've been reading, in books and learning from others, which is kind of hard to do when the mind gets attached because it's so easy to be like, oh, well, Jupiter's a planet of abundance, luck, right? And then versus energetically coming back to myself and being able to tap in. But the messages I've been getting have been really cool and just like really trusting what's coming through in visions and what I'm hearing and psychically and all those things. It's been really, really cool. I've also just been so, gosh, first of all, I just want to like say a huge thank you because the podcast, I mean, just it's been growing so much in the past few weeks. Just a lot more new people here, a lot more new people on TikTok and Instagram. And so it's just been like really beautiful. And, I've been like really starting to feel the momentum with manifestation. And so I've kind of been like piecing apart, like picking apart what exactly are the pieces that have been helping me actually manifest. Because before I feel like I would just get like so in the mind about it and then I would write manifestation lists, but like nothing would come through, or I would perceive that nothing was coming through. So I've just been really like, without overdoing it, right? Without overthinking it, trying to understand, like picking apart the process and what's been working and why it's been like getting so much momentum. And there's a few things. I think it's just like trusting and releasing. Like I am okay with or without it, right? As I just looked up at the time is 314, which is the one of my numbers that I've chosen, which is like my guide numbers, I guess. But yeah, so it's very much been like releasing and knowing that I don't need the thing, right? Like I want it, I desire it, I deserve it, right? It is my birthright to have the things that I desire in that sense, but like releasing it. And I think the second piece to this is just like literally having such faith, such strong faith and belief that it is mine and thinking in those and literally rewiring the mind to think like, so for example, I have been really frustrated just like because I've been home for the past week basically looking around my house and the kids making a mess, and I don't like to clean. It is not my thing. I really don't like to do it. It is like if I could delegate something off of my to-do list, it is cleaning my house. It is, and I don't enjoy it, right? But that's also a very big shadow for me, is like feeling like I'm perceived as being dirty or my house is a mess. And so of course, because that is my perception, my mind, right? Like my subconscious belief is that my house is messy. And so then it's always mirrored back to me and others, right? Because that's the way my mind is powerful and it's literally drawing that energy to me, that I think my house is messy. So others think my house is messy, right? And it's like, so the first thing is seeing that and being like, okay, I don't like to clean. I fucking hate cleaning. Literally. It's like I don't like it. But I value and respect myself and I like how I feel in a clean house. So I'm getting better at cleaning, right? it's like taking it one step at a time instead of just being like, oh, I have to clean today, and like getting like, ugh, like getting that feeling about it. And then bringing up the shadow of like, oh, well, I must be a dirty person. And you know what I mean? Like all the snowballs that go from that. So instead, if I'm sitting here saying, you know what, I'm getting better at cleaning. I love a clean house. I love when my house is clean. My house is clean. No, it's not like a snap your fingers and now it's like Cinderella, my house is beautifully clean because I wished on like a magic star. But it's like when you start to believe and you put these things forward, your mind, your thoughts are powerful. So if I begin to believe that I'm good at cleaning and I enjoy cleaning, no, I'm not going to enjoy cleaning right now, but over time I'm going to begin to value more the act of cleaning, right? Like maybe I'll start listening to podcasts or another thing I'm super excited for, and I don't want to like get into it too much, but I'm about to invest in a device that I'm super, super excited. I will literally talk about it when I get it, but I want to like explore it and understand it and be able to explain it before I get into it. But anyway, but basically using this while I am cleaning and so yeah, it's just been really cool process of understanding like the actual like what is manifesting. And underneath that all, which is why I think the Leo full moon has been really, really cool. It's like regardless of anything, coming back to that space within myself, right? Like even in my shadows, coming back to that authentic space, expressing authentically. Like you would not have caught me on here a couple years ago saying I don't like to clean. Like maybe. I don't know. I'd have to like listen back. But you know what I mean? Because like my self-worth was lower. And so I feel like I always like show up authentically to myself, but like the level of authenticity and the level of self-awareness now isn't what it once was, right? So just being able to like come here and say that it's just showing up authentically because I know I'm not the only one, right? Like I'm not the only one. And that's another thing about this is like knowing that there's so many other people out there that are struggling with the same things, that are going through the same things. So having compassion for everyone else, having compassion for yourself, um, is just really, really huge. So it's a process, a journey. And again, I'm gonna do a whole like episode on manifestation once I feel like I've really gotten like my what's the word I'm looking for? Path, journey, momentum, cycle. I don't know. One of those words. Pick one. Once I get that down and I'm really like seeing and understanding the process a little bit better. But that's kind of been what's going on the past week. Yeah. And I've just been like, I literally put on my manifestation list in December that in 2023, I want to have more collaborations with people in my same field and just among so many other things. Like community is huge. I want to just really connect with people and just the opportunities are coming through, and it's just like every single time I get one, I'm just like so grateful and feel so lit up. So much is coming this year. 2023 is just like astrologically huge, and also there's just been like this momentum over the past couple years, and so I'm just really leaning into it. And that is where I'm going to transition from my recap of the past week into today's topic, which is going to be human design and finding your purpose. And when I talk about purpose, like it's more like the energy, right, behind your purpose, the energy that's going to bring your purpose, the energy that will help you flow with your purpose and show up. Because there are pieces of human design that we can look at to be like, oh, well, this is energetically your purpose. This is what you're supposed to do, right? But then finding the thing that truly lights you up and bringing that energy to that, right? And so, of course, like raw and everybody in human design that you talk to, the three things we harp on and on is type, strategy, and authority. And I know from my own personal journey, which is like prefacing what I'm about to say, because I really want to say that really get a grasp on those three things, right? Like once you understand your type, strategy, and authority, and understand how to respond and flow and align with those, everything else is going to fall into place. So that's what I'm going to say. Really, really, really dig into your type, strategy, authority. Of course, anybody that comes for a session wants more than that. And I myself, as a manifesting generator, like a 6'3" manifesting generator, when I first learned about human design like 4.5 years ago, I went hard. Like I wanted to know every aspect, every piece of it, what all the gates meant that I had, what like everything. I went so hard. And on an intellectual level, like, yeah, I understood my design, but I actually hadn't experienced my design. So I could explain it, but it never quite like clicked, right? It was like I was explaining it, but then there was always a piece that felt empty to me because I hadn't actually had the experience. And so human design is just this beautiful process. And I think, any way you go about it, human design, gene keys, astrology, it's like it will present itself to you in pieces as you're ready. So you can learn everything you want to know. And I really, when I go through, when I sit in session with someone else, like of course I go through the main things. We go through type, strategy, authority. We go about your profile. I love cognition, so I always touch on cognition. Your incarnation cross and that energy, north, south node, moon. Like we go through those things, but I always have it as a practice of like supporting you in that journey of understanding like how it's presented for you. So I want you to tell me how it's presented. Like it's a two-way conversation. It's just not like me spinning things out. And then really focusing on the areas that you're feeling um that you're struggling with or you need support with or you need guidance with, right? And really honing on those things and then leaving you with pieces. All sessions are recorded, so I send you the recording, and then just like leaving you with action steps moving forward, right? And it's so much just coming back to the basics, because it's 4.5 years in human design. Like once a year, I will go back and just read a basic book, a completely like a human design newbie book, and literally every time I do that, I have like aha moments where I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense," right? And so it's like this, you go through these like layers of human design, and as your consciousness expands and as you tap in more to your body, and that is huge why I'm always on about body. And I like hear myself sometimes, and I know my own like perception of myself, right? Where it's like, eat right, move your body. And I heard that my whole life. My mom was a fitness instructor. And so it was always just about like, eating right and healthy and whatever. But it was always more for that superficial, like look like the model, look like the magazine, look like the actor, actress. And so I don't like say any of it for that. I say it so that you can connect with your body and you can come back to yourself and come into alignment with yourself. And again, this full moon in Leo, like if you're feeling it, it's so much about the heart. And when you come and when you're cleaning up your system and you're cleaning up your body and you're eating the right things and you're moving your body and you're, aware of the products you're putting on your skin, even your makeup, right? Because our skin absorbs the chemicals that are in the things that we're putting on, like paying attention to the things that you're washing your clothes with and that you're washing your dishes with. All those things like really do matter because you're ingesting them into your body. Um, and once you can start to pay attention to that, like you'll start to come into alignment with your body more, which then allows you to connect with your authority more and finding that heart centered space, right? So, knowing your human design type, strategy, and authority is so important. So, Ra talks about our type, and he says that our type, like understanding your type and that energy, aligns you with your body. Like that's the purpose of type, right? So you have 4/5 different types, right? We have generators, which are broken down from generators to manifesting generators. They both have a defined sacral. The difference is manifesting generators have a motor connected to their throat. So that's either going to be the solar plexus, the ego, the sacral, or the root. One of those connected to their throat with the sacral defined. Then you have manifestors, which have a motor connected to the throat, but the motor will not be a sacral. Generators are the only types that have a defined sacral. And then you have projectors. Projectors will have no motor connected to the throat and no sacral, and reflectors are just completely undefined in their centers. Now, generator types have an open aura, right? We are open and welcoming people into our aura because the sacral is life force energy, it's workforce energy. We are here to respond to life. And so our aura is going to bring things in, bring people in for us to respond to. And so when you understand what that sacral response is, right? Like once you understand what it means to be a generator and that connection with your sacral, you will better be able to respond to the things that are brought to you, right? So it's like, do what lights you up. Do things that make you happy. Generators need to be lit up by what they do because we are like life force energy, workforce energy. So being lit up by what we do is really important. And so once you are doing something that you're lit up to, open it with this open aura, calling opportunities and experiences in, calling in things to respond to. Then when you can respond, then you can understand what your body feels when it's a yes, having that connection with your sacral. So as an MG, I'm emotionally defined. And then a further layer of human design is you can separate your design from your personality and your body. And so when I look at my design from a personality perspective, I'm an emotional manifester, and my mind works literally like if you have worked with me in a professional capacity, like I get an idea or like something and I'm just like I go with it, but then I'll hit a wall, right? Like the manifester, it's like that energy like block. And when you look at my body, I'm a reflector. And so for me, tapping into my sacral has been a process and has been experimentation. But through that, now I can tap into my sacral because yes, I don't have a defined sacral in my personality or my body, but when you put them together, I have a defined sacral, which makes me an MG. So I have a defined sacral. No matter which way you want to cut it, I can excuse my mind can be like, oh, I'm emotional manifester of my mind, so I don't resonate with the sacral, and then my body's like, I'm just tired. I'm a Taurus. Being lazy is fine with me, but like I have a sacral, and so it's been a process of understanding that relationship with my sacral. So if you are a generator type, understanding your sacral, understanding how it responds to things, whether you have it conscious or unconscious, is really important in coming into your body and understanding that response to life. If you are a manifester, you have a closed and repelling aura because you are here to initiate, right? You're here to do. Your strategy is to inform. And so it's important to inform those around you of what you're doing. It's not asking permission. As a child, it's important to ask manifestor children to ask for permission. But as an adult, you're not asking for permission. You're not asking for validation. You're simply informing those around you because it affects them and it gets them even more out of the way for you to go and do the thing that you're going to do. But you do have this closed and repelling aura so that you can just manifest. You can be a manifestor and manifest and not have people like get in the way of that. Projectors have a focused aura, right? It's focused and it's penetrating. So projectors were a type that was created after the 1781 when we went from 7-centered being to a 9-centered being. So so they didn't exist before that. But projectors are very much about the other. They are in tune with the other. They again focused and penetrating. They want to understand you. And this is because like when they come into a leadership position, projectors aren't here to do everything. That's the generator's job. But projectors are here to delegate. So when they have this focused and penetrating aura, they're getting in and understanding what makes you tick, what you are best at, what you love. And so when you're in relationship in any capacity with a projector, they just have a very specific aura. I always like sense it. It's a very like soft aura, but like they're just interested. It's very specific. And so what projectors strategy is to wait for an invitation. And so that literally is you can have energetic invitations. You can find ways to ask questions that will lead to an invitation, right? It's not just like sitting around and waiting to get an invitation. There's active and passive ways to do that. And then we have reflectors. Reflectors have completely undefined centers. And so they have a sampling aura, right? They are here to taste all the energy that's coming at them. They're literally here to reflect the environment back to them, right? So if you are in a relationship with a reflector, it's very important for the reflector to be aware of their energy and to come back to their energy, because it's like you are reflecting the other person back to them. So it's like, does the person like you for you, or is it because they're seeing themselves in you, thus they are attracted to that, right? So really, really being aware of your energy and understanding like you are here to sample, you are here to taste the energy of that around you. And because you have no defined centers, your environment is so important to you, right? Like really noticing how that feels in your body. And your strategy is to wait a lunar cycle, because during that lunar cycle, you are able to excuse me, you are able to go through the lunar cycle and use and taste and sample all the other authorities. So our authority is our decision making process, right? From our body, not our mind. And so you're able to like go through that and then come back and decide what is for you and what's not. Of course, you're not going to wait 28 days to decide what to eat for lunch. So, of course, like leaning into the energy that you're currently feeling is really, really important and really helpful. And like feeling into that body, again, why it's so important to come into tune with your body, right? And so, like, understanding that energy will really help you align better with your body. Now, there are a few other layers that we can go into when it comes to your purpose or the energy that you bring to your purpose. Of course, your incarnation cross is your conscious sun, earth, and unconscious sun, earth. And this is like 70% of your personality. And so understanding what that conscious earth, right? Your personality sun, that energy, your personality sun is like hugely about the energy that you are bringing to the world, right? The sun is where you shine. So having that is what your mind, everything on your personality is what your mind perceives. So for me, my personality sun is in Taurus and it is gate 23. And so gate 23, like for me, that means when I am making things way more complicated than they need to be, I know I'm not aligned. And that's going to result in frustration. Like literally, even when that's what frustrates me about my house, right? When I look around and the kids have been throwing stuff around all day and I'm just like, I have to clean and I'm making it so much more complicated and there's shit everywhere. Like the complexity of that, like the mess really bothers me. So it's coming back to that simplicity, making it simple, making it easy. And I so much notice, like, even when I'm explaining something, when I'm over explaining, I stop. I just like stop myself. Like, even if I'm mid sentence, I'm like, okay, this is not going to be received in a way that makes sense. And I'm just like talking to talk. And so it's like making it clear, and this is where boundaries come in, right? Like it's so I used to pad it so much, like, oh well, if it feels okay for you, like I would go on and make all these reasons and excuses of like, but like not really set a firm boundary because it was like always leaving like that wiggle room, and it just never felt good. Obviously, never really set a boundary. So now it's just like, hey, like I respect you, but this is what I need. Like done. End of sentence, right? It's simple, it's clear, it's right. And so like applying that energy of simplicity to all the things that I do. Like even when I'm creating something, it's like, yes, I can talk on and on and on. The Leo part of me, I can talk. But I also really like it when it's clear, it's precise, it's concise. So anyway, so like really digging into the gate energy and what that means for you. Your sun is, or your earth, your conscious earth is going to be what grounds that, right? And so that's also going to hold a lot of the shadows because we always have the light and the dark, the sun and the moon, right? Like all the dualities. So really understanding those two, and then your body is how your body operates. So my unconscious sun is in gate 30, which is the clinging fire. It's all about desires, experiences. So I like understanding what desire feels like in my body, and when I am embodying that, like I know that I'm misaligned. I need to come back to a space in my like heart led where I can just experience things for the experience of it. And then my unconscious earth is going to be that gate 29. And so it's like I want to say yes to everything. Like literally, and it's really interesting to explain because, and I've noticed this is gate 29. When I like it literally in a situation, like if somebody asks me to do something and I say yes, like yes, I now know what is a yes and what's a no. But like there are certain people where like if I care about you, doing something for you makes me feel physically like I enjoy it so much because I enjoy that you're happy, right? But it's gotten me into trouble in the past because I'll say it like starts that way and then I'm like constantly asked to do things and then I don't set the boundary and then it becomes a whole thing, right? And then I get resentful and bitter and all the things. But if I can just like saying yes, like it does feel good, right? Like if I can commit to a yes and it's not taken advantage of and I can set clear boundaries around that yes, I love to do things for other people. It truly is. It lights me up. But I've learned to really discern within that. So really understanding those energies, right? Like that's part of your purpose. Your north and south node, your conscious north and south node. Your north node is where you're heading in this life, and your south node is where you're comfortable. So again, for example, like right now we have the north node in Taurus and the south node in Scorpio. And so Taurus is grounded, it's sensual, it's material, it's about food. And so like that's where we're heading, right? And the south node in Scorpio, it's deep, it's intense, it is, I mean, if you cross a Scorpio, they will like get revenge even if it's like 10 years down the line. You don't even talk to them anymore. You'll just like somehow they'll get revenge on you, right? So it's like embodying the energy of the north node through the south node. Like we have to go through the south node. And we may find that that south node is where we find comfort. It's easier to go there than where we need to go. My north node is in Aries, right? And so when I look at that, like my north node wants to lead and wants to take action. It is fast, it is quick, but my south node is in Libra. And so it's like I want to be peaceful. It feels comfortable for me to be a supporting role where I'm, in balance and harmony and all those things. Yet I have so much fire that I know the leadership is where I need to go. But it's comfortable. When it's uncomfortable, it's comfortable to come back to that Libra energy, right? And so this is really huge as well when you're looking at your purpose in human design. Of course, your moon is your emotions. It's what drives you. So always, for me, everything goes back to emotions, right? In the body. So understanding this energy too is really helpful to understand like what you need to nourish you. Like my moon is in gate 33. And so for me, this is like gate 33 kind of like sits on all those experiences and processes them. It needs to come back to a space. It needs to come back to stillness, to integrate, to quiet. It needs to be like a hermit for a little bit to really integrate and process and go through these experiences before it starts a new one. And so really understanding that energy, and like I do, like when I'm done with something, I need a lot of time to come back to myself and reflect and process before I go out and start something new. So, really understanding, I would say, like, just as a starting point, like, those are really key areas. So, your type, strategy, and authority, always coming back to that, right? I didn't really dive into authority. There are 7 different authorities, but this is how your body, how you can know in your body what is for you and what is not. So you have emotional authority, sacral authority, splenic authority, ego manifested, ego projected, self projected projector, environmental or mental, and then a lunar authority. And so this is literally, yeah, it's how your body lets you know that something is for you or not. So emotional authority, if you have a defined emotional solar plexus, this is your authority. Full stop. 50% of us have a defined solar plexus. I'm emotionally defined. And so it's just like you're constantly riding that wave of emotions. So it's really important not to make a decision in the moment, right? Always sleep on it, give it 5 minutes. If there's pressure to make a decision now, the thing likely isn't for you. And you will have a knowing. Like if you're on YouTube, you may notice my hair is a little darker. And this is like a little example, but it is an example of like what it feels like, what I've come to feel for myself. So I used to be really impulsive where I'd be like, I want dark hair, done. Right. But like now, as I'm like getting really in tune with my authority, coming back to it, I had like a ping a couple weeks ago that I wanted to dye my hair dark, but I was like, I've been blonde-ish. I haven't lightened my hair in like a year. So I say ish because it was like dark at the roots, but blonde in the end. Um, but I had been lighter hair colored for like maybe 8 years now. I used to always have dark hair when I was younger, but every time I go through something, I just want to like dye my hair. Excuse me. So anyway, I had a ping a couple weeks ago to go dark again, and it felt really good. But I was like, it takes so long to get it light again. Like, what if I want to go light again? Anyway, so I kept going back and forth with it, up and down, and then I was at the gym yesterday, and I just had that full clarity. I was like, yes, I want to do it. I'm going to do it today. But it was like I had waited and I'd gone through the ups and the downs of it and came back to that neutral space where now my body was like, okay, go. Like now we're good. Let's do it. And yeah, and I feel super confident. I feel like so much more myself. It's weird, right? Just how a hair color can do that. But it's so that's what the emotional authority is. We're always going to be up. We're always going to be down. It's cyclical. Just remembering like this too shall pass, and like giving yourself the time and the space to really process through that. Sacral authority, again, you are a pure generator or a pure MG, meaning you don't have your solar plexus defined. So you have a knowing in the moment. It's a yes or no in the moment. You can tap into that sacral. The sacral responds is like, and it's like paying attention to those sounds and having people or asking yourself, you can ask your sacral yourself yes or no questions, and that'll give you a yes or no in the moment. Sacral authority is really beautiful because of that, right? Because you have like this in the moment knowing, you can tap into it. And if you are a generator type, even if you have emotional authority, tune into your sacral and use it as a piece of information to bring through your wave, right? I get in the moment responses all the time. I have a defined spleen and sacral and solar plexus, so I'm like getting all three of them at once, and it's really easy to like lean into the spleen and the sacral and not pull it through my wave. But I've really learned that to refine that process. But that's the sacral authority. It's really beautiful, and your body will like move. Like I've given this example before. Like when I asked my son, like, "Hey, you want to go out for lunch?" He will literally, his body just moves. Right? He's going to get dressed. He's putting his shoes on. He's getting his jacket. He's getting everything ready. Like his body is physically moving him because it's a yes. But if I'm like, hey, do you want to go to the store with me? And he's like, that's a no, right? It's a no. And so all of my sacral people in my life that I know really well, when I ask them if they want to do something, if there's any hesitation, I know it's a no, you know? And so I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what do you want to do? Right? Or do you want to do this or that? Then you have splenic authority. Splenic authority was the one that took me the longest to understand because it is it's about fear, survival, health, immunity. And so this one really, really, really is so important to clean up your system. It's intuition, right? And so when we have a clean body and we're running efficiently, then we're able to really tap into that. But it's a in the moment ping once. Like it's not going to repeat itself. It's not going to keep tapping on you like, hey, you should do this. Hey, it's just once. It's intuitive. It's love. It's all the things that we like know, right? It's a one off. And it's like, if you're asking yourself like fear-based questions, I'm air quoting it, like if somebody says, I don't know, hey, do you want to go to a concert tonight? Right. And then you're like, oh, well, what time does it start? You know, is there going to be traffic getting there? Are we going to eat first? Like all these sort of like things. Really like just tuning in, again, tuning into your body and what your body is saying. But I've been told that when you're asked a question and there's just like a no response, you don't have like a hit or anything, it's usually a no. So this one I feel like it's the most challenging one for a lot of people because I think you really have to be in tune with yourself and with your body to understand what that response means. And I think because I have all of those defined, it's really hard for me to like pluck out specifically this my splenic response. But yeah, your health is really important to you. I would definitely just say tune into your body, tune into your health, and really understand what that means. So then you have ego projected and ego manifested. And this is when you have a defined ego center, heart center. And when it's ego manifested, it's connected to your throat. So really hearing how those I statements, like I want this, I need this, I would feel good if this, right? Like it is, the ego is about the I. It's about it's what your willpower, so really tuning into like what you're saying. And then the ego connected to the G center is self manifested. Yeah, ego manifested, ego projected. Sorry, ego projected. Um, and so this is really tuning into, this is going to be about the I, what you want attached to your direction, your love, your purpose, right? So really waiting for that invitation, right? Like people, projectors who have this, like it's really important for you to wait for that invitation and then pull that through and see like, is this what I want? Then you have self projected projectors, which is your G center is connected to your throat. And so, really listening to what's coming out, really listening to what you're saying. So, it's great to have a sounding board for this in it. And kind of like, like we talked about earlier with the manifestors, making sure that that sounding board is someone you trust and let them know you're not looking for advice or opinions, or be clear about, set the boundaries around what you're looking for in that. You can also talk into your phone. You can just like talk out loud, but like what comes out of you is going to give you clarity on what's right for you and what's not. And then we have mental projectors, which just means your ajna is connected to your throat. Excuse me. Or your head and your ajna are connected to your throat. So of course, if you have your head defined, you have your ajna defined, but they have to be connected to your throat. And this is actually environmental. It's mental, environmental, but it's like tuning into how you feel physically in a space is going to tell you if something is aligned for you or not. And then we went through reflectors, which is the way to lunar cycle. And so with all of these, again, it's just so important to tune into your body and understand what it feels like. And I really feel like that piece in itself, regardless of human design, when you can tune in to yourself, that capital S self, and come into that heart led space, you're naturally going to start following your authority, right? You'll naturally be able to tune into that. So, like, I've noticed for me, it's like coming back to that space, I will literally be able to tune into myself. I will know. I just know the feeling now, right? So it's like practice, experiment with that, and I understand that feeling. And sometimes I don't get it. I don't get a response, right? And then I wait, and like sometimes like yesterday with the hair dye, I was like, yes, I knew it, right? And so knowing what it feels like, knowing what it feels like to come from that space will help you tune into your authority, type strategy and authority. And then, so as you're like digging in, and I find it really helpful, just like take your conscious sun, take like one day at a time. So take your conscious sun and just read. If you don't have any of the books, that's fine. Google it. Google 20 gate 23, whatever your conscious sun is. But Google your Google your conscious sun and just write down everything that resonates. Write down everything that you're pulling out that feels right for you, that resonates for you, the shadows, lights, all the things from as many sources as you can. And then just sit on it, sleep on it, right? I find when I do this process, like if I'm and I will go back to it. Like I've done my conscious sun like multiple times and something new comes out every single time. But it's like I find then the next day those are kind of the themes that I'm seeing because I was taking time to journal it out. And please write it down, like actually physically hand to paper write it down. It just stores things in a different part of your brain. It's so powerful for so many reasons. Manifestation, I mean just like success, like everything. Please write, journal and write it out. But yeah, so I find like that process really helps me to integrate and understand on a deeper level all the pieces of my design, right? And then you can kind of like piece them together. But it is a slow process. And human design, again, you can on an intellectual level, like tear through the information and read as much as you want, but it comes back to it has a very specific, very beautiful integration process, and it will reveal its layers to you when you're ready for it. So literally, let's say your moon is in gate 12, right? You can read about gate 12, you can understand about gate 12, but until you're at the point where it's really truly going to reveal itself to you, like it's all intellectually. So that is my recommendation. Like really, really, really get in tune. Just continue to come back to the basics. Continue to come back to type, strategy, and authority. Continue to experiment with it and see how it plays out. I love profile too. I didn't even touch on profile on this one, but I will. I'll check. I'm pretty sure I have an episode on profiles, and I'll link it below. If not, I will do that. I will do that next episode, next solo episode. I'll go into profiles, but that's like, I mean, it's your personality, right? 70% of your personality, and I love, love, love the profile for so many reasons. It really just like, it's not like, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the energy to your purpose. It's just who you are, which of course is always part of the purpose, because your purpose is to be you, right? Your purpose is to remember who you are. So yeah, sure. It is part of your purpose, right? Because it embodies who you are. And so understanding aspects of that was really, like, for me as a 6-3 was so helpful. So type, strategy, and authority. Again, there are so many layers to it, and starting there, really digging into sun, earth, north, south node, and the moon. I would start there. And then, yeah. So I'm going to leave that here and leave the episode here. Those are like the basics of getting in tune with the energy of your purpose, always coming back to yourself. Thank you so much for listening. You can, if you're interested in working with me, one-on-one sessions are available. Human design, astrology. It's sort of like it's guiding you through the process. Again, like I said, it's not just like me speaking at you. It's like it's you us understanding and unraveling your design piece by piece, and astrology is woven into that, because I can't not do it without astrology at this point. Like, it's just become such a thing. So the 7-week small group container, it's 5 people coming in, is starting February 15th. And so you still have time if you're interested in that. The link is below. It just gets you signed up for like the wait list. And so I will email out the week of, if you are accepted in. All the information is down there. And then HD Attached, which is a 12-week program. It is a combination of human design and attachment theory, which really just, we get the basis of your design and we're kind of weaving that into the 12 weeks. But it is really the core theme of the 12 weeks is reprogramming your subconscious. It is understanding your core beliefs, your core wounds, and really beginning the process of rewiring that. And yeah, it's just a really powerful, beautiful program. And so that is also available. And then, of course, the Mastery Mondays newsletter goes out every single Monday. You can hop on that. It's got an astrology transit, human design transit, human design update transit lesson. So we've been in the center series, and I'm actually going to start profile series next, and just an update on the podcast and anything that's inspiring me, in a card pull. And so that's that. But that's a free way to get like all the information every single week. Like I said, it touches on all the pieces within that Mastery Monday newsletter. So again, all the information is down below. Again, I thank you so much. I thank you for everybody that is new here, whether you're here on the podcast, whether you're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. I'm just so grateful and so lit up. And I just have to say, like, if you have a passion, if you have a desire, if you have a dream, like, stick with it. Like, this has been 3 years of the podcast for me. And no, it's been almost 4 years, actually. I started in 2019, so we're going on the 4th year. And there are so many times where, it's like I could have easily given up. I could have easily quit, but I had this burning desire. Like, I knew where I wanted to go. I knew what I wanted. And so I just like kept with the vision. I had such strong faith and such strong belief. And so, yeah, just stick with it, whatever it is that lights you up. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. You can connect with me on Instagram and TikTok at Rochelle.Christiane. That's ROCHELE.CHRISTIANE. Website is RochelleChristiane.com. And YouTube, Emotional Mastery Podcast. All the information is down in the show notes. I thank you so much.